It began as an online space for sharing pictures and stories with friends and family. But now, millions of people also get news and other information from Facebook. And it's under pressure from US lawmakers who say political ads on the platform may have influenced the presidential election last year. The company shared 3,000 ads it says were paid for by an obscure Russian company and were viewed by 10 million Americans.
We've been investigating this for many months now, and for a while we had found no evidence of fake accounts linked to Russia running ads. And when we recently uncovered this activity, we provided that information to the special counsel.
Facebook has also announced other measures to weed out misinformation and fake news targeting elections. It's shutting down thousands of fake accounts and reporting them to local regulators. Facebook is also promoting more transparency. Users will soon be able to trace the pages that fund ads and see other content they're promoting. And it's hiring 1,000 more people to review ads and other content. But the company's founder admits it doesn't have the technology to stop all ill-intentioned posts.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to catch all bad content in our system. We don't check what people say before they say it, and frankly, I don't think society should want us to. Freedom means you don't have to ask for permission first, and that by default, you can say what you want. And if you break our community standards or you break the law, then you're going to face consequences afterwards. We won't catch everyone immediately, but we can make it harder to try to interfere.
Tougher monitoring is also opposed by many advocates of free speech and so-called net neutrality. That makes it increasingly important to educate viewers on how to differentiate between facts and propaganda. And that's a tall order, even for the world's most popular social media platform. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
So let's get more on this now from our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, who is in Paris. But first, let's go to Rich Jaroslovsky, who's the tech columnist for news website Observer.com, and he's also vice president for content and chief journalist at Smart News Inc. And he joins us from San Francisco. Rich, I want to start with you, if I may. Look, let's talk about adequately regulating social media. But in order to adequately regulate them, we need to define what they are. Today, are they news websites, or are they places where you and I can have a conversation and throw up cat videos, and in which case they should be regulated under free speech laws? What are they exactly today?
The answer is a little bit of both. The problem is that sites like Facebook will answer differently depending on where their interests are. Facebook's basic interest is not in providing news, is not in vetting content. And what it really, its incentive is to keep people tapping. And whatever it is that keeps people tapping and keeps their eyeballs glued to Facebook, that's what Facebook is at that moment.
OK, nonetheless, though, Craig, if I may put the same question to you, nonetheless, it is still providing media content, which should theoretically bring it under the jurisdiction of media laws. I mean, newspapers sell ads too, right?
Well, yeah, but in my day, as Rich will tell you, we used to have something called an editor, and Rich used to be my editor. And editors are the first line of defense. They regulate content. We don't have this here with Facebook. Facebook is just a bullhorn that's in business to make money. And you got to remember, we've not seen anything like this since the invention of the printing press. You know, and what the printing press did, it improved literacy. It also caused a lot of wars, reformations, counter-reformations, and it took decades upon decades for the world to come to grips with this. And right now, we're only at the very beginning of this digital age. And this has taken the place of print. But I do not believe that Facebook should be in the business of doing this, number one. And number two, Facebook's not running Russian news. They're running Russian ads because they make money off of them. And if the American public is stupid enough to believe this kind of stuff, well, on si soit-il, as we say here in France, so be it. OK, so let me pick up on that issue. Rich, so Craig alludes to the concept that
the American public and perhaps the world at large is not sufficiently educated in how to operate in this environment. But how do you even start educating the public to discern fake news from real news?
There are some things that are very worthwhile. There's a project, for example, called the News Literacy Project in the U.S. that's working with schools to try to introduce the concept of digital literacy and critical thinking. But it's a mistake to think that that alone is ever going to be sufficient. The real answer is that the platforms themselves need to step up, understand how their platform is being used, and come up with meaningful, enforceable steps that they are willing to take themselves in order to assure the safety and the transparency of their platforms. What we've seen in Facebook are a lot of PR gestures, but the reality is I haven't seen a huge change in what Facebook is doing, either in serving ads or in serving up fake news. Until we see that, I'm not going to take them at face value. They have to show me. Okay,
Rich, let me pick up on that. But do you think that given the volume, the volume of information that currently goes through places like Facebook, that it is even possible for the technology to adequately vet all of this information? Can artificial intelligence get to the stage where it can actually filter out this kind of stuff?
Someday, I think it will. I don't think it can today, and I think the answer, if Facebook is serious, the answer has to be some combination of technology and human beings. Now, they've announced this large plan to hire 1,000 people to vet advertising. We'll see how well that works. I'm sure those people will have technology tools. Okay. But right now, it has to be a hybrid answer. And one thing I agree with Mark Zuckerberg on is any solution won't be perfect.
Right. Craig, let me put that question to you. Can the technology catch up and adequately filter what's going through social media today?
Rich knows the bells and whistles much better than I do, and I will defer to him. What I do know are the Russians. And the Russians have been at this game of agitprop since the Bolshevik Revolution. It started with the Comintern. They had their own KGB unit known as the International Liaison Department. And their job was to do conspiratorial work and propaganda. Now, it was actually disbanded in '39, but the mechanics still goes on. This is classic propaganda that has been coming into the United States for over a century now from the Russia, Soviet Union in different means. First by pamphlets, the printing press, telegraph, radio, television, and now digital. The Russians are not going to give this up. And the sad fact of this whole situation, Azar, if you talk to any U.S. or Western intelligence agency, they are embarrassed that the West does not have countermeasures that can do the same thing with this sophistication in Russia, because Russia is a closed society, China is a closed society. You cannot, the moment you start regulating this stuff, you no longer have an open society.
Okay, well, that's a very good point, and it leads me to the next question, as a matter of fact. I mean, so far we've been looking at this through the prism of the United States. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that the United States does adequately regulate Facebook and other social media sites, but it's a global entity. In places like Europe, perhaps, they may not want to impose the same regulations. So if you have a free-running social media platform in one part of the world and a regulated platform in another, that's meaningless, isn't it, Craig?
Azar, what are they? I mean, Rich, weigh in here, man. What are they looking to regulate? Stories, articles, news, or just advertisements? This is what I don't understand here.
Rich?
What are they looking to regulate?
I don't think that government regulation is going to be the answer for exactly the reason that you outlined a moment ago, which is this is a global entity. The real answer has to be that the platforms themselves, Facebook itself, has to be willing to take on responsibility. And so far, I've seen a lot of PR gestures, but I haven't seen a lot of evidence that they really want to do that or have an incentive to do that.
Okay,
you mentioned the days of agitprop. There used to be a phrase in the Bolshevik Revolution, the useful idiot, somebody who wasn't necessarily a revolutionary, but could easily be co-opted by the revolutionary movement. Facebook does not want to become a useful idiot. It should not want to. And that's what it's faced with if it does not take serious, meaningful steps to assure the integrity of its own platform.
But Rich, isn't that a slightly utopian point of view, though, that a commercial organization that is driven by commercial incentives is going to want to regulate itself to the extent that it may be detrimental to its bottom line? I mean, surely this is the point at which governments need to step in.
Well, the
issue I still don't. What are they going to regulate?
Well, let me ask you that.
Rich? I mean, I don't know. Are they, you know, are they going to regulate, you know, goofball alleged news websites like InfoWars? I mean, that's classic agitprop coming out of the United States. That site may run some ads that may be bought by Russia, and people have a right to take that seriously if they want. But as Rich pointed out, you know, хорошо idiota, use good idiots. That's the problem. It's a matter of education here. And putting in, and if Facebook is going to do this, they need to put in real editors. Okay. You know, not cosmetic editors.
Rich, final thoughts from you. Can Facebook and Google and Twitter adequately do this themselves in a way that's going to help society?
They can do that. The issue is that their short-term incentives are not to do that because they make money from all those fake ads. They make money from all those eyeballs looking at fake news. So if they look at it from a short-term position, they can't, they don't have the incentive. If they look at it from a longer-term viewpoint, this is an existential crisis for them, because if they don't act and act meaningfully, then governments will act, and governments have the ability to interfere with the businesses, to strangle the businesses in the name of, quote, regulation, unquote. Okay. So they had damn well better take it seriously.
Right. Fantastic conversation there, gentlemen. Rich Jaroslovsky, tech columnist in San Francisco, and Craig Copetas in Paris. Thank you both ever so much.